It began with a whisper, a shadow on a scan, the kind of news that stops the world from turning. Pancreatic cancer, for Sarah. Those 2 words were a death sentence handed down in a sterile white room. The statistics were a relentless drumbeat in her mind, bleak, unforgiving. A future once brimming with plans, with laughter, with ordinary moments, had just been stolen. The air in the room grew heavy, thick with unspoken fears. Her husband's hand found hers, a desperate anchor in a sea of despair. Her children's faces, etched with confusion and a terror they couldn't yet name, swam before her eyes. The diagnosis was not just hers. It was a weight that settled upon the entire family, crushing the light from their world. Every doctor's visit felt like another nail in the coffin, each new piece of information a confirmation of the inevitable. The world outside continued, oblivious, while inside their home, a silent, heartbreaking battle had just begun. Hope was a distant, flickering star, almost impossible to see through the storm clouds of grief and fear. We watched as the initial shock gave way to a profound, soul-crushing sorrow. Tears were a constant companion, shed in quiet moments in the dead of night and in the raw, open grief shared between family members. The question, "Why me?" echoed in the silence, a cry of injustice against a fate she never deserved. Her husband, a pillar of strength for everyone else, would break down when he thought no one was watching. The burden of a future without her too heavy to bear. Her children, too young to grasp the finality of the diagnosis, only understood that their mother was in pain, that the laughter that once filled their home had been replaced by hushed, worried conversations. They would crawl into her bed, their small bodies a fragile shield against the darkness, their simple presence a heartbreaking reminder of everything she stood to lose. As their physician, I, Dr. James, saw not just a patient, but a family unraveling at the seams, caught in a tempest of emotion that threatened to tear them apart. It was a period of profound darkness, where every sunrise felt like a painful reminder of borrowed time. Then, something shifted. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic explosion of light, but a quiet, stubborn spark. After weeks of feeling lost in the abyss, Sarah looked at a photograph of her daughter's first birthday, a simple, happy memory. And in that moment, a new thought took root, pushing aside the despair. It wasn't, "I'm going to die," but rather, "I have to live." It was a flicker of defiance against the odds, a refusal to surrender the future captured in that photograph. That evening, she turned to her husband and said, "I'm not done yet." The words were soft, but they carried an unshakable force. That was the turning point. Hope, which had been a distant stranger, was invited back into their home. It wasn't the naive hope for a miracle, but a gritty, determined hope. A hope built on the decision to fight, to seize every possible second, to show her children what it means to face the impossible with courage. The air began to change, the oppressive weight lifting just enough to let a sliver of light in. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, it felt like a battle they could actually wage. From that day forward, everything changed. Sarah's determination became a force of nature. She devoured information, asking questions, seeking second opinions, refusing to be a passive recipient of her fate. Together, we crafted a treatment plan that was aggressive and innovative, pushing the boundaries of standard protocol. But the true transformation was in her mindset. She no longer saw herself as a victim of cancer. She was a warrior preparing for her greatest fight. She began to connect online with other fighters, finding a community in the Pancreatic Cancer Warriors Network. Their stories of resilience fueled her own. She embraced nutrition, meditation, and exercise, reclaiming control over her body in every way she could. She transformed chemotherapy sessions from dreaded appointments into strategic missions, visualizing the medicine eradicating the disease. Her spirit, once broken, was now forged in fire. She was not just surviving, she was actively, fiercely, living. This was no longer a story about dying from cancer. It was a story about how she was going to live with it, and through it. Then came the breakthroughs, the moments that left us, her medical team, in stunned silence. A tumor, once deemed inoperable, began to shrink. Scans that were supposed to show progression instead showed retreat. The cancer markers in her blood, which had been stubbornly high, started to plummet. We ran the tests again, and then a third time, struggling to believe what the data was telling us. Colleagues would gather to look at her charts, murmuring in disbelief. This wasn't just a good response, it was extraordinary. It defied the textbooks, challenged the statistics, and rewrote the prognosis we had so grimly delivered. Sarah was carving out a new path, one that didn't exist in our medical literature. She was not just beating the odds, she was demonstrating that the odds were merely a reflection of the past, not a prediction of one person's future. Each positive result was a testament to her incredible will, a victory that belonged entirely to her relentless spirit and the fight she refused to abandon. The most powerful moments, however, were not found on a medical chart. They were in the small, sacred milestones of her recovery. The day she had the strength to walk her daughter to the school bus, her hand held tight, a simple act that felt like conquering a mountain. The first time she was able to taste and truly enjoy a meal with her family, the table filled with laughter instead of tension. I remember walking into a room and finding her helping her son with his homework, her focus entirely on his world, the shadow of her illness momentarily forgotten. These were the moments that inspired everyone. Nurses would stop by her room just to talk to her, drawing strength from her optimism. Other patients on the ward heard her story and found a renewed sense of hope in their own battles. Her recovery was not a solitary journey. It became a beacon for our entire community, a ripple of inspiration that touched countless lives. She was teaching us all that healing is about more than medicine. It's about reclaiming the moments that make a life. Sarah's journey teaches us something profound about the human spirit. It shows us that strength is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. It proves that persistence, that stubborn refusal to give up, even when the world tells you to, can alter the course of destiny. Her story is a testament to the fact that within each of us lies a reservoir of resilience we may never know we have until we are called upon to use it. It is a powerful reminder that our mindset, our will to live, is a critical part of the healing equation. It's about the courage to face the darkest of nights and still believe in the possibility of a sunrise. Sarah did not just survive, she demonstrated the extraordinary capacity of the human will to defy expectations and to create hope where there was none. We share this story not to offer false promises, but to plant a seed of belief, to remind you that even in the face of the most daunting diagnoses, rare victories are possible. They are fought for, they are earned, and they begin with the choice to believe. Miracles are not just random acts of fate. They are often the product of unyielding courage, cutting-edge science, and a spirit that refuses to be broken. Sarah's fight is a victory for every person who has ever been told that the odds are against them. It is a call to action for all of us to support the fighters, to fund the research, and to never, ever give up hope. Believe in the possibility of the improbable. Believe that even the longest night will eventually give way to dawn. Every life story contains a universe of struggle, of love, of loss, and of triumph. And every single one, when shared, has the power to light a path for someone else walking in the dark. Your story matters. Your fight matters. You are not alone.